Welcome back to Writing Done Right. Well, today we're going to talk about utilizing templates for building your book cover designs, and we'll be using GIMP to do this. So get ready here and we'll talk about the different elements of cover design in just a moment. All right, so you can get your book template designs a variety of different places. So what we're talking about here is the basic layouts for the book cover, which is going to contain the front book cover, the side binding, and the back book cover. Now, I use Ingram Spark and KDP for my book distribution strategy. Both of these will give me this same template design, which they do differ ever so slightly, but it's never been enough that I can't use one of those templates, so I don't have to do my books twice. And the one I actually use preferably is the Ingram Spark. The reason is, you might have, if you've been doing some research, you might have been looking at buying ISBN numbers, and then they'll sell you a barcode as well for an extra, $20, whatever it is, on top of the price of the ISBN. The reality is you don't need to do that barcode. Because if you know your ISBN number, which you do need to buy, and you know the price of your book, when you input the data into the Ingram Spark templating system, they will give you a cover template with the barcode already there. Utilizing GIMP, you can pull that out and use that barcode so you do not have to buy another one. We'll do that, and we'll probably do another video just exclusively focusing on those barcodes because this is a very big deal. I just wanted to mention in passing here that that's what we're going to do. So we're going to look at the front cover designs, the back cover designs, the side binding in print books. Now, if you're just doing a book cover for an ebook, you really don't need to go into all this. You need to know the basic sizes, 8.5 by 5.5. That's good enough. Get your ebook design up, and that'll actually work for you. But when it comes to the cover designs for a printed book, you need to know the page count in there because the page count determines the width of the side binding. So you need to get that information. So what we're going to do is go over to the computer. We're going to generate one on KDP. We're going to generate one on Ingram Spark. And then we will go ahead and just show you how to get started working with that template. We're not doing a whole tutorial on building a cover. I just want to show you how to get your work environment set up. So with that, let's jump on over to the computer. Okay, so here we are on the computer, and I just want to show you both the Amazon template cover template generators and the Ingram Spark. Now, you'll notice that I'm not logged into either of these, so even if you do not have an account, you can use these template cover designers. So what you want to do is we want to come in and just decide on your trim size of your book, which you should already know what your book is. So if you want to do like a 5x8, you want to choose that. Now, the thing that's going to change is your page count and the type of paper that you're using. Now, I did say in a previous video that Amazon did not have anything smaller than these. So you'll kind of see what my options are here. We have 5x8s, I think is the smallest we have. We have 6x9s. So we have a variety of different sizes here, but we don't have anything smaller than 5x8. Which means if you want to do a traditional novel form factor, which is a little bit smaller, and I don't remember the dimensions off the top of my head, you can't do those directly through KDP, directly using their things. But for most other books, so like most of my books, I do 8.5 by 5.5. So that's, 8.5 high, 5.5 wide. Or for my smaller books, I'll do 5x8. So what we're going to do is just select the trim size that you want. So this is basically the size dimensions that you do for your book cover. Then you have to enter in your page count. Now on Amazon, if you want to have a side binding, your page count has to be a minimum of 100 pages. So let's just say, for example, I'm doing a 200 page book, which I have a couple books that hover around that 200 page mark. Now, then we have paper color. The reason this is important is because different papers actually have slightly different thicknesses, and so there's a calculation that you take. Now, I usually do cream-colored paper. You can do color as well if you're doing like colored paper, things like that. Or that's going to drive up your cost, by the way. I usually do cream because it's a lot easier on your eyes. And since I read and walk outside a lot, especially in the summer when it's bright, I hate reading books that are white paper. So I have some of my books are white only if it makes sense. So like I Am Not Amused is white paper because the cover designs are white. And if I had cream paper in there, it would look a little off and unprofessional. So for the most part, though, I do use cream paper. And then we want to hit our download cover template. I'm just going to go ahead and save it because we're going to download one from Ingram Spark as well. Okay, so over here on Ingram Spark, Portals, Tools, Cover Template Generator. So this guy over here, you'll see the one thing that they're asking for here is we have a lot more information. So in this case, it wants the ISBN number. This is cool because you can actually get your cover templates with your barcode through Ingram. You do not have to buy an extra barcode for that. So let's see, I'm just going to grab this, and that's one of my ISBNs for my book. So your ISBN number is actually tied to your publisher, so the only thing that changes on mine is my last 2 digits there. Okay, so that is an ISBN number. And then over here, we're grabbing our, let's see, over here we want to grab our publisher reference number, which we can leave blank. Here's your trim size. Now, it might actually, I think it filled in this information because I've used this as the same computer I used before. You'll generally have to go in here and fill out the information. So again, here, your black and white and your cream colored paper, generally about the same. If it's ground wood, it'll be a little bit different. So this is mass market like, so a little bit thinner of a paper for the ground wood, which is another black and white. You also have a color option as well. So you can do 50 pounds, 70 pounds standard. You have premium color, 70 pound standard. So choose whichever one makes sense for you. Since this is my I Am Not Amused book, I went with the white. And then we want perfect bound versus saddle stitch. You'll see that's not an option because this requires a certain paper type. So if you're, if you do not have the option, you don't have the option. You can also do hardback through Ingram, which is something you cannot do on KDP. That's something I haven't mentioned before, but you can do hardbacks and then choose gloss or matte. That really doesn't make a difference. For the most part, I like gloss, but again, there's places like I Am Not Amused. I use matte. So the difference is gloss is going to have a little bit of a shiny tint and your matte is not. That really doesn't make any difference in the cover template design, but at the same time, it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're doing your book. Think about the cover design of your book. For the most part, gloss is generally a little bit better. What is your page count of your book? Again, I think this auto filled in from what I had when I was typing this one in before. So this is 220 pages. You can kind of decide what you want to be. And then we want to pick our file type here. So our Amazon just gives us a PDF. It gives us a PDF and a PNG file. This one here, we can kind of choose what we want. We have InDesign CC, we have PDF, CS3. I personally just use the PDF since I'm doing everything here on Linux. And then entering in your email address. This is something that you're going to need to enter in. And what they do is they email it to you. So I'll go ahead and enter in the email address there. And then confirm it, of course. Now, the optional information here, this is where we want, this is actually where we want to enter in the information, and it's going to give us our actual price. So in this case, the book is $15.99 US dollars. And then if we hit the price in barcode, then it's actually going to send you the template design with that full barcode already on it. So we'll go ahead and hit submit. And then what they're going to do is they're going to email you the cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the email and download that cover design, unless I have it laying on my desktop, but I'm pretty sure I don't. So I'll be back to the video after I grab that from my email. Okay, so the template came to me in my email, so I went ahead and downloaded it, and I put both of these. So, of course, the Amazon one we just downloaded directly, and the one from Ingram we have just as a direct PDF. It doesn't send us a full zip. So we're going to open up the Amazon one first. So let's just go ahead and unzip this archive into my folder here. This is where you'll see that you have a PNG file and you have a PDF file. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and just open up the, let's do the PDF, and we're going to open this up in GIMP, which is what we oftentimes use for our book covers around here. So when it opens up, when you open a PDF inside of GIMP, it's going to give you an import option because a PDF is not technically an image. So it's going to give us a dialog box about how we would like to import it. The most important thing here is your resolutions. When you are printing things out, your resolutions need to be high. You want to set your resolution to 300. Okay, that should automatically change the pixel height and width because this is dependent on your DPI, which is your resolution. So 300 means 300 dots per inch, which is basically 3 pixels per. So we're going to go ahead and import this. Now, what we're going to see here is in this cover design, it gives us basically these various regions. So we can see the black dotted line is the trim size. So that is this dotted line right here. Let me go ahead and see if I can grab something. Yeah, let's just, this black dotted line is your trim size. Now your blue dotted line is the spine fold. So that's over here. This is about where the spine is going to fold. All right. So the white area is the live area. So the white areas on the whole template, these are the things that are safe to put any of your content. So if you're bleeding over any text, just make sure your text stays out of these pink regions. Okay, these guys are called the bleed regions. So anything that's in the bleed regions may or may not be cut off when it hits to print. So it'll basically do an average and it'll print out, and it should be pretty close to whatever you have in the center here, but it might be shifted one way or the other. So you want to make sure that there's no critical information in any of these red or maybe orangish, pinkish, I don't know what color that is. It's a weird color. So just make sure that nothing critical is there, and then you'll have your bleed over. Notice that they have a location here for a barcode size. Now, Amazon itself, they like giving you your own ISBN because it gives them more control over your book. I always say pay the extra money for your own ISBN unless you are going to sell exclusively on Amazon. Just because it's going to be more professional, and if you want to try and get your book even into local bookstores, they probably will not sell it if it only has an Amazon ISBN barcode on it. It doesn't have the pricing information and things like that. Now, you can leave this yellow part. You don't want it to say yellow, but you might want to leave it white, or just make sure there's nothing critical there. So make sure there's no logos, no publisher stuff, no text in this barcode region. Now, you can actually specify a barcode to be somewhere custom just by setting out a white block elsewhere. It will look for that, but by default, and it's generally better overall to put it here because this is where everybody looks for your barcode. So you can see your spine width here. The width is calculated on the number of pages inside of our book. I think we said 200 here, right? And you can kind of see it has the dimensions. Now, what is important is that we are in the higher 300 DPI resolution. So what I like to do is, I already know I want to do like a 5 by 8 book. So what I'll end up doing here is I'll just go ahead and create my cover. So let's see if I have the working cover on this. I do. Let's go ahead and open this in GIMP. All right, so here's actually the working cover. So what we're going to do is I'm going to copy it, and let's go ahead and paste it in as a layer here. So we are going to paste as a new layer. So what you'll kind of see here with the cover is I did make this guy here to be, there's just enough bleed over, and so that if I align it directly, if I basically center it here, none of the text is going to be in any of those pink regions. So what I do here is just grab your opacity from over here on your side, and I just kind of fade it down a little bit just to make sure there's no critical text. So let's bring that up just a little bit more so we can see the cover just a little bit more here. We can still see the pink around the edges there. All right, so if it were like this, you see that the A down here is inside of the red region. That would be bad. Your A is probably going to be cut off or bleed around the fold. Again, over here, this O is going to be cut off. The D, the period next to the D is going to be cut off a little bit. For the most part, this is a very safe cover. And you just want to make sure it's fairly centered in the middle of the white region. And you can calculate it, or you can do a full, just a good old eyeball. So this is actually pretty good. So you can kind of see how I did this cover here. So it's actually going to match pretty well with what we have. Of course, once we have it aligned right, go ahead and raise that opacity back up to 100. Now you can go ahead and add your back cover, your spine cover. I don't know if I have the backs or not. Probably not. Let's see. I do have the full final cover of the book here. So actually, if I were to copy this guy into it, you'd kind of see how it will bleed into it. So make sure that's there. Let's hide just this one, and we'll kind of see how this guy lines up. All right, so you can kind of see there. Let me dim that down just a little bit more. So kind of see how the cover lines up. Everything is perfectly right, perfectly nice, very centered within all of the lines. So that's how you want your final cover to look. So that's using the Amazon's KDP cover designer. So let's go ahead and discard all of those guys. Now we'll go ahead and we will open up our Ingram one. So what you'll notice on the Ingram, again, make sure your resolution is 300 on import. So what you'll notice on the Ingram one is it does look a little bit different. And this is if you've done like a vanity press book, or maybe you're getting proofs back from a publisher, you might actually get your book cover up here with this whole guy down here. So let me show you kind of what that's going to look like as an overlay here. So we'll go ahead and import this guy, and then we'll move it around. And if I center this right over the blue text, you'll kind of see how it's also going to line in just right. Bring it up just a little bit more, over this way, just a hair. All right, and again, drop our opacity back a little bit so you can kind of see how it's lining up. All right, so you can kind of see how this guy looks. So let's bring that opacity back up. So what your difference is here is this is giving us a lot more information. We have, the color sizes. We have some details about what the size files are. We have the widths over here. We have these in inches over here. This is in inches and millimeters there. So you can kind of see how the book cover is. Now, if you're using this platform on Ingram, you can upload this cover with all of these markings on it to Ingram, or you can upload just your cover design, which is just going to be this viewed region here. It will accept either one of them. I actually, once I have this done, I cut out everything except the cover. And the reason is, if you accidentally upload this to Amazon, you're going to get this whole thing to Amazon. It doesn't know the difference. So it's going to completely mess up your book cover. So I appreciate what they're doing here, but since I use the same template for both the Amazon and for the Ingram uploads, I like this one the most, but then I'm going to cut out all of the regions that are not within these blue marks. Again, like the other one, we can see what is the safe region. We can see what is the non-safe regions. The safe regions are the pinks. The unsafe regions or the bleed regions are your blue. We have our fold indicators over here. Now, the other thing, though, is that they give us, and this is why I use Ingram's over Amazon's, is we have a barcode. This is a full ISBN 13 and EAN 5 barcode. So this is perfectly adequate for using your prices. So what I like to do is I open up my cover design, and then I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this guy like this. Just make sure that we are perfectly in line, which we are. So I'm just using a combination. Oops, see, we're off a pixel on that one. Boom, fix that guy. Using your control button and your scroll wheel, you can do that. So now what I'm going to do is, now that guy is copied, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to edit and hit paste as a new layer. So now, even if all this stuff goes away, oh, hold on, I copied the wrong layer. My fault. I had this old hidden layer there. Let me go ahead and delete this so I don't do that again. Whoops. Every now and again you do that. Just use the undo options. Undo options are your friends. Okay, copy this layer, edit, paste as, new layer. Now we have a barcode. So now I can use this barcode, and this is going to be perfectly adequate for any instance of using your book. So I can drag it around. I can put this barcode wherever. Now, when you are uploading to Amazon, if you already have a barcode attached to your book, there is an option. So check your barcode. This is exactly what you want if you want to sell your book in any retail store. Even if you're thinking you might do it down the future, do this and you do not need to pay an extra $10 or $20 to buy a barcode. You can generate it directly from Ingram Spark's template generator, which is why I love Ingram Spark and why I use them for part of my main distribution strategy. So that'll get you started in doing your cover designs. So we're using GIMP here. The websites, I'll go ahead and put these in the description there, but we just have the cover template generator. And literally, I just did an internet search for KDP cover template and Ingram Spark cover template. It will pop you right on these pages. Again, I do like the Ingram Spark one a lot better. We have the EIN5 full barcode, ISBN dropped into it. You do need to crop it down in size. You can use either one of them. Just use the Ingram for the barcode and use the Amazon's cover design. It doesn't matter which one you do. Both of them are going to be very similar. There is a very slight variation difference in them, but I've never had any issue with using them interchangeably among each other's service. So there is how to use how to get your cover generated with these two generators and using GIMP to look at your various regions. Also, take-home message, remember 300 DPI resolutions. If you're trying to do 72, it's not going to print right. You have to have that 300 or higher. 300 is the good standard. So with that, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully this will help you learn how to get your writing done right.